Hey, what's happening? It's Bill Smith. Before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to everybody that's been mentioned on the Q board. I think Q's done a good job of calling out people just in our little club here, people on Twitter, and kind of spreading the love. I like that. So shout out to Lars Prinzen. I think he was replying to Jordan Sather earlier. So they got mentioned on the Q post. I thought that was really cool. Now, the purpose of this video is to tell you about this thing called the QClock. I'm sure you've already seen it. I think Neon Revolt put out an article at the beginning of June. We're going to take a look at that in a second. But first, I'm going to show you what this thing is. This is what the QClock looks like. And it's a really, really simple idea. Essentially, just like a regular clock has 60 seconds in 1 hour, this QClock is set up based on a revolving series of 60 days at a time. So on the Q clock, 60 days equals 1 hour. So one revolution of the Q clock would be equals 60 days on our actual calendar. Okay, so it starts if I know you can't see it very well on here, so I'll post a better picture. But it starts on 10/28, and the marker given is 20. And I'll show you a couple base level proofs so that I can show you that this is actually legit, and then you can start tracking stories against it. Okay, one thing to slip in there is how you read the clock is that you just find your date on here. So today's date is the 24th of July. So if we were to search out here, the 24th of July is right here. So it's the very last, most updated, recent day posted on the Q clock. Now the circles on the Q clock equal Q posts, so it's dates that the Q team or QAnon posted. And the way you look at it is you look at the series. Let's just take 49 for example. So if there was a marker with 49, we would see posts on 11/26. That's November 26th last year, January 25th, March 26th, May 25th. And July 24th. And it's possible that all these posts are related. Possible. That's just a way to go along with the conversation. Now that's 1 minute to 10, so the mirror of that would be 1 minute to 4, and we would get things on the 19th, on the 19-second mark, which was 12/26, February 24th, April 25th, and June 24th. So I hope that you get that. So the way to read the clock would be to find the second that you're at based on the date that you're on, find the other dates that line up with the circle. So on that same second on smaller circles, past hours, I guess, on the clock. And then when they say think mirror, sometimes that could correspond to something on the other side of the clock on that other series of dates. So I hope that I've made it as clear as I can about how to read this clock. So it's just a way to track conversations. It's just one more thing to look at in the Q post. It's probably not necessary that you understand this long term. Things will happen or they won't. You'll have to look at reports to verify these, like we do in all the other videos. But this is the Q clock, and that is how to read it. Okay, so I want to go back here and I want to show you how this was found. Okay, full credit to the Anons on here. Again, there's a Neon Revolt article that I can link you to. He actually posted twice. Neon Revolt posted 2 different articles about this. They were a little difficult to understand, so I'm trying to clean it up a little bit. Okay, now I'll show you some proofs. If we come to the Q post and we type in marker, okay, we'll get some markers. Now let's go to the very beginning. Let's go look at the very, very first one. Okay, now on October 31st, 2017, on Q post number 26, we get this message. Think about it logically. The only way is the military fully controlled, save and spread, once 11/3 verifies as the first marker. Biggest advance drop on poll. Okay. So let's just take this line. 11/3 verifies as the first marker. And remember, the post number is 26. So we're post number 26 says that 11.3 verifies as the very first marker. Okay, now if we go to 11.3 on the Q clock, I know it's really, really hard to read this, so you can come check this out yourself. I'm looking for 11.3. 11.3. 11.3 is right there. That's 11.3. And it's at 26 seconds on the Q clock. 26 seconds. 11.3 is the 26th second on the Q clock. So 11.3 verified as the first marker of the Q clock, and it's post number 26. Fantastic, right? And that's the very first mention of a marker anywhere in the Q post. So this is kind of how it works. There's lots of stamps in here. We've matched a lot of these up to like tweet timestamps with Trump, weird synchronicities across like speeches, things like that. There's lots of that in here. I just wanted to show you this one because I don't think I saw this one documented anywhere in the literature or anywhere on Twitter. It's one I just found on my own. Now I dug around a little bit more and I found a few other markers. I don't think people have pointed these out yet, but I want to get the proof documented really well so that we can just put this to bed about whether or not the Q clock is real or not. At this point, I'm positive that the Q clock is real. After this, it's going to be about how we learn to read it. So here's just a couple more proofs. This is on January 7th, 2018. Okay, so we're going to find January 7th on the Q clock. And it's down here somewhere, right there. So I know you can't see it upside down, just trust me. It's at second number 31. So it's at the second marker 31. So it said they confirmed the first marker. Now we're going to confirm this. Confirmed. 15, 10, 5, and 1. 15 plus 10 is 25, plus 5 is 30, plus 1 is 31. Confirmed, 31. So you get it. So on January 7th, we found the 31st second, and that's what these add up to. So this is another confirmation. Now there's a bunch of markers in here. They all correspond to different stuff. I can cover all these sometime in the future, but I thought I'd go to the latest one just so we got the first one in the middle, and then the last one that we reached. This was a really famous post. If you remember, this was the Q gun, Q post number 1464. It says number 100, dark to light, 107 marker. And then it gives a link to a video and it says, do you believe in coincidences? Okay, 107 marker. So we're going to go to 1464. That's the post number. It's on June 12th. So we're going to go find June 12th on the Q clock. June 12th is up here. And it's at second 07. 07. So 107 marker. So those are the three proofs that I'm going to put together to prove that the Q clock is legit, it's real, it's a useful tool. They've embedded it somehow, right? So they have been working to get us the Q clock since the beginning. Now we have it. Again, credit to Neon Revolt for pulling it off the chans and getting the first blog post online. I know other people have covered this as well, but this is my coverage, so it's on my channel. So I hope you got something out of that. Now I'm going to show you how people are putting this to use. So this isn't the best example. It's just an example that was placed out today, just recently. So it's across my plate. I saw it. It does a good job of showing the mirror image. Now, some people are thinking now that whenever Q says think mirror, he means, again, to go back to the other side of the clock. So this is a good graphic that shows how that's accomplished. It also shows how the tweets from that day match up. So if you go to the mirror image of today's event on July 24th, and we actually did get some Q posts today, and you mirror that, you get March 10th, and it talks about watch the speech. Now today's big news, is proof, I guess, that Q tossed out there was Trump had a speech in Kansas City, or Kansas, downtown Kansas City, where they played From Sea to Shining Sea in a song that he was doing a speech with. And he pointed up whenever they started to say it, and he gave the Q hand symbol when they said at the end of the statement. So I didn't really find this to be like super fantastic in any way. I think it's great. It gave some people an opportunity to catch something, get a shout out on Twitter. But I would have been more impressed if the March 10th post said "C to Shining Sea." If it would have been in the March 10th post the same line from C to Shining Sea, I would have been a little bit more impressed with this. But this is just a good example. I have it laid out. This is how people are using this to further analyze the Q posts, and it's possible that we might be able to get a good read on what we can expect in the news cycle. If we can figure out how to read this thing and make some predictions that come true, I think this would be a very, very useful thing for us to spend our time on. Okay, now as I showed you, the Q clock ends on 11:22, and I don't know this yet. Okay, I don't know if it's just an arbitrary number. I know it doesn't end at the 60-second marker, but this post, I want to get this in and match this up. So this says November 11th, 2018, a parade that will never be forgotten. Ask yourself why. God bless our brave men and women in uniform we will never forget. This is Q post 856. It was posted on March 6th, 2018. Okay, now people are saying that this is a military parade. It's just a theory, okay, that this is a military parade in D.C., and it will be used as cover to make sure that the military is deployed when they win the midterm elections. So after the red wave happens, after Republicans squash any kind of Democrat challenge in the midterms, once that moment happens, that might be the all hell break loose kind of moment. So it's a theory that has been postulated that it's a military parade in D.C., so the military will have cover. They can be in public without alarming the general population. Okay, so again, this was posted on March 6th, and it's 11/11/18. All right, now March 6th is right here, and it lines up with dates November 6th, January 5th, and July 4th. And July 4th is the one that caught my eye. So I went and looked for what we had as post on July 4th. And obviously it's a very patriotic message about celebrating our independence. And it talks about what questions were asked regarding Saudi Arabia prior to the Saudi Arabia events. And why is this relevant? Think mirror. Look there or here or there. Truth is behind you. It also mentions this U.S. military. I don't know what NG is. I apologize for that. But the interesting part is that this post comes right before the 20 Days of Darkness. And then today we got a whole bunch of new posts again. Okay, so I don't want to get off topic here, but there was a 20-day gap. We had a 4-day gap. I think someone was mentioning we had a 4, a 10, and a 20-day gap. That's the DJT, the Donald J. Trump initials that we've covered a couple times in these posts. But what's even more interesting is that if we take those same dates and we look at the mirror of that, so we were down here on the 4th, and we look at the mirror, that puts us at the 59-second marker. So one second till the strike of midnight. That last part, I could be making that up. I could be reaching, but we're with the Q clock and the marker sets inside of the posts, it gives me this whole other thing to go back through and look at. And especially whenever you get into the mirrored posts, it's a whole nother ball game. So it's possible we could get like a whole nother flush of information out of these Q posts if we apply this knowledge and look for these types of connections. This is tedious work, but there's an app that Neon Revolt has on his website called Q Data. It's a Q clock that you can download for your Windows PC. So I hope this helps. Hope you got something out of this. Until next time, this is Bill Smith. Thanks for watching.